A lot of people stay trapped, not because they don't work hard, but because nobody ever showed them how to turn income into freedom. And there's an entire industry built around making sure you spend that income before you ever even get the chance. Because somewhere along the way, we stopped asking, how can I create wealth for myself? And instead, we start asking, how can I look wealthy to get validation from others? These are completely two different things. And the psychology behind the difference might explain why someone can make more money than they ever have and somehow still feel broke. This is the price of freedom. And today we're going to talk about why LARPing rich actually keeps you poor. The product isn't the product. Let me ask you something. Why would somebody spend thousands of dollars on a bag when another bag can perform essentially the exact same function for 50 bucks? I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with buying the expensive one. If you've got the money and you genuinely love it, then buy the bag. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting question is, what are you actually buying? Because it isn't just leather, it's what the leather says about you. Luxury marketing rarely sells you an object, they sell you an identity. They sell you the identity of being successful, exclusive, and important. The kind of person who doesn't need to look at the price. And once a product becomes connected to an identity, suddenly you're not comparing what the product does. Suddenly you're comparing what owning it makes you feel like you are. And social media took the psychological button and put it on steroids. When did everyone become rich? You open TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is, what do you see? Beautiful apartments, vacations, watches, cars, shopping hauls. People your age apparently living like money doesn't even exist. And here's the weird part. You don't actually know these people. You don't actually know their income. You don't know their debt. You don't know if that car is financed, leased, borrowed, or rented. You don't even know if the hotel room was paid by them. You don't know if the designer bag is real. You don't know if they spent 3 months saving up for the thing they could be presenting like an ordinary Tuesday purchase. You see a lifestyle. You don't see the balance. You don't see what they don't want you to. And that creates a really interesting question. What happens when millions of ordinary people constantly compare their real lives to everyone else's highlighted reel? They start trying to perform too. Wealth LARPing. There is an entire economy built around looking richer than you actually are. You can rent exotic cars, you can rent designer clothing, you can finance luxury purchases, and you can use buy now pay later options. You can stand next to something you don't own and take a picture, and no one scrolling past knows the difference. Again, renting isn't something inherently stupid, financing something isn't automatically bad. Buying something expensive doesn't mean you're making a bad decision. The problem starts when you're sacrificing the person you could become to advertise the person you aren't yet. Because every dollar has another possible destination. And that brings us to the part nobody sees. The opportunity cost. That 2000 bag doesn't cost $2,000. Imagine someone brings home 4K a month, and they wanted a $2,000 bag forever. They save and they finally buy it, and people notice. Maybe they get compliments, maybe they post it. For a few days they may feel incredible, but that bag didn't only cost them $2,000. It costed them whatever else 2000 could have became. That 2000 could have been equipment for a business, advertising, more education, software inventory, emergency fund investments, something that could increase their ability to make something tomorrow. And that's the difference between consumption and ownership. One makes you look wealthier, while the other one actually makes you wealthier. Here's a question that changed the way I started thinking about money. I'd rather own something that makes strangers think I have money, or own something that makes me money. Because those two decisions can create completely different life. And if you want to see how powerful status can become, look what happens when exclusivity gets added. Limited drops, collaborations, artificial scarcity, countdowns, lines around buildings, people camping overnight just for the chance to buy something. Think about that. The company isn't begging you to buy its product. You're begging the company to let you buy it. And that's incredible marketing. If you would have spent that $2,000 on a business, then you can use this exact same strategy. Collaborations involving brands like Swatch have shown how intense that demand can become. But why? A watch still tells time, your shoes still go on your feet, a bag still carries your stuff, so what changed? The story attached to the object. Scarcity tells us if everyone cannot have this, having it must mean something. And suddenly purchasing becomes competition, which creates an even bigger problem. The internet never lets you win. Let's say you finally get that watch, or the car, or the bag, or whatever it is you dream of getting. Now if you're done, right? You're done? You don't need anything else. Except tomorrow, somebody has something better. You find yourself comparing to someone who got the higher trim car, or the better bag, or the watch that you want to get. So you bought a Rolex, someone has an EP. You bought a BMW, someone has a Porsche. You bought a Porsche, someone else has a Ferrari. And that's going to keep on going up and up. And whether the Lamborghini is his, finance, rented, borrows, or just sitting in a dealership, at that moment, it doesn't matter to your brain. You saw someone apparently doing better than you, and that's the trap. There is always another level. If your definition of success depends on other people believing you're successful, you can never finish, because you're letting strangers set the finish line. What actual freedom looks like. And this is where I want to make something very clear. I'm not telling you money doesn't matter. Money completely matters. It matters a lot. It's difficult to talk about freedom when you can't pay rent, or it's difficult to build something when you're drowning every month. Making more money can absolutely change your life, and that's what FOBO is all about. Make more, build more, own more. But there's another half people forget. Keep enough of it to actually change your life. Because if you're making 100,000 and spending 100,000 trying to look like someone who makes 200,000 doesn't really make you wealthy. It makes you trapped in a nicer costume. And maybe the goal shouldn't be looking rich. Maybe the goal is reaching the point where you don't need to prove that you're rich at all. Imagine two people. Person one has designer clothes, their expensive car payment, the watch, every photo looks incredible. But their paycheck disappears the day they get it. They're completely screwed. Person two dresses normally, drives something they can afford comfortably. Nobody at the grocery store would look twice at them. But they own investments, they own a business, they have savings. Their money produces more than money. And most importantly, they control their time. Which person's actually richer? That's the question. Because eventually you'll have to decide what you're optimizing your life for. The appearance of wealth, or the freedom wealth could buy. The price of freedom. I want nice things. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I don't. I love cars, I like nice clothes. I like to travel, I want a beautiful house. And when FOBO becomes what I believe it can become, I'll probably buy some stupid crap too. The difference is when. I don't want to sacrifice tomorrow's freedom so I can cosplay today's success. I want a business before the Rolex or assets before the Porsche. I want freedom before the flex. Because there's nothing wrong with buying the trophy, just make sure you actually want something first. So the next time you see someone walking to the grocery store carrying a Louis Vuitton bag, don't assume they're rich, but don't assume they're broke either. You don't know. That's the entire point. A bag can't tell you someone's net worth, a car can't tell you someone's freedom, and an Instagram page sure can't tell you someone's financial reality. Stop trying to build a life on what looks wealthy, and build one on what gives you options. Build something you own, increase your income, buy assets, control your time. And eventually you still want the bag? Buy it. Don't trade your freedom for it. Because money without freedom isn't wealth. It's just a more expensive prison. Don't die ordinary.